Hello everybody, welcome to the Re-Review, the series where I get to replay and reassess games from my favourite gaming era. I'm Brian, also known as UKGN Zoidberg, and I'm back once again to talk about my favourite subject, Amiga gaming. Having been a writer for a brief period, I still find it fascinating to look back at the different writing styles of all the various magazines that existed during the 16-bit era. Seeing what they had to say about games and whether or not their opinions aligned with my own is something that I found really enjoyable about making this series, and I hope some of that enjoyment is passed on to you. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about the first game that was published by Team 17 that was actually developed by an outside team. That game is Assassin, which was released in late 1992 and developed by Psionic Systems. By the middle of 1992, and with just 3 games to their name, Team 17 had already established themselves as the most exciting thing in Amiga gaming. Full Contact, Alien Breed and Project X had all been developed by an in-house team, so when it was announced that the next game was to come from a new developer, a lot of the magazine previews expressed their concern. That new developer was Psionic Systems, comprising of programmer David Broadhurst and artist Hayden Dalton. Their only previous game prior to Assassin was Dojo Dan, which was published by Europress Software. Broadhurst and Dalton had met while working at Manchester-based Software Creations, famed for multiple arcade conversions. Broadhurst had been making games since the mid-1980s, including Commodore 64 titles such as Sci-Fi Clive, Metronaut, and the brilliantly titled Mr. Frosty and the Killer Penguins. His big break, however, came in 1987, when he programmed the Atari ST and Amiga versions of Bubble Bobble for Software Creations, which was published by Firebird. Regarded by many, myself included, as one of the best arcade conversions on the Amiga at the time, this smash hit was followed, with varying degrees of success, by multiple other conversions, including LED Storm, Bionic Commando, Ghouls and Ghosts, and Sly Spy Secret Agent. Dalton, however, worked on the graphics for the 16-bit conversions of Gauntlet 3. And if you want to know my opinion on that game, why not check out the full episode that I made about it last year. It was during the development of Dojo Dan that they first saw Team 17's Full Contact, and knew instantly that they needed the same composer to make the music for their game. That composer was Alistair Brimble, and the music in Dojo Dan is certainly the highlight of the game. And it was through Brimble that they were able to pitch their next idea directly to Team 17. Wanting to make an arcade-style game in which the main character could climb, swing and fire in multiple directions, they took their inspiration from Capcom's Strider. Scarab Assassin would eventually have its title shortened and would be released towards the end of 1992. I'll get on to the critical response that the game received in a moment, but it was not a commercial success. According to Martin Brown, co-founder of Team 17, it was probably their least successful Amiga release. Psionic's next game, Apache, didn't even get a full release and was instead given away for free with all copies of Alien Breed 2. Considering how technically impressive that game is, with multiple layers of smooth parallax scrolling and another storming Alistair Brimble theme tune, it's odd that it received such a fate. On the same disc as Apache was a demo of their next big release, the equally impressive arcade racing game Overdrive, a title which probably tells you everything that you need to know about the game. It was also the first Team 17 game to receive a controversially low score from Amiga Power magazine, who awarded it just 46% in their review. In 1993, Assassin followed other Team 17 titles, Alien Breed and Project X, in receiving a new version for its budget release. Assassin Special Edition made numerous changes to the original game, including the complete removal of the opening level and changing your character's main weapon from a boomerang to a laser gun. Being released for just $12.99 meant that it did sell a little bit better second time around. The only other game to come out of Psionic Systems was Daffy Duck in Hollywood, which was developed for the Mega Drive in collaboration with Probe Software. After that game, Broadhurst and Dalton split to pursue separate opportunities, although they would eventually both be credited as designers on Darksiders 2 many years later. Now though, let's go back to 1992 and see what the reviews had to say about Assassin on its first release. Any worries that the magazines had had about Assassin proved to be unfounded by the time it came around to reviewing the game. The first review appeared in issue 50 of the One Amiga in November 1992. The previous month they had given away an exclusive demo of the game on their cover disc. It was reviewed by David Upchurch, who would go on to become the magazine's editor, as well as the launch editor for PSW magazine in 1999. He awarded it 92% and was full of praise for almost everything about the game, but especially how playable it was, calling it another Team 17 masterpiece. That same month, Amiga Power published their review too, and after being less than enthusiastic about Project X a few months earlier, their score of 89% was very surprising, and they said it was Team 17's finest hour. Amiga Action shared that sentiment a month later and even used the same words, as they went on to give it 91%. All of those reviews were spread across multiple pages in their respective issues, whereas for some reason the rest of the Amiga magazines only deemed it worthy of a single page. CU Amiga said that it was an excellent action-packed arcade romp and gave it 89%, whereas both Amiga Computing and Amiga Format awarded it 85 overall. From the 6 reviews that I found across all the UK magazines, the average score was 88.5%. On the Lemon Amiga website, however, the user score is just 6.74 out of 10 from 125 votes. Over a quarter of the votes cast score the game at 7 out of 10. Now though, it's time to boot the game up and see what I think about it today. It's time for the playtest. I've always thought that this game does a very good job of making a good first impression on the player, because this opening level does look really spectacular. It's got nice, crisp, clean visuals. These power-ups that you pick up, you have to shoot to get the desired effect. So I think E is the number of boomerangs that you can throw, S is the speed, P is for power, W is for the arc that the boomerangs will go in, and L is for the length. So I think I'm going to change it to P for power. If you can find this mouth power-up on any level, this is actually really useful, because as you can hear, you now get speech telling you which direction to go in. And what you'll soon come to discover on this game is that the timer in the top right-hand corner is actually not something that you really need to be concerned about. All that really determines is the amount of bonus that you'll get at the end of the level for how quickly you did it.
Proceed then.
They have done a really good job of making all the movement extremely fluid on a single button joystick. And the boomerang weapon is really what makes this game stand out from a lot of other similar games. And again, the star collectibles are also something that are geared towards your end of level bonuses as well. As you'll see when I get to the end of the level, the game dishes out quite a few little awards for how well you did. Must say the dogs are pretty annoying. All of the extra weapons that I've been collecting that you can see at the bottom of the screen are activated by holding down the fire button and then letting go when the correct one is highlighted. And so here we go, end of level boss. Honestly, if you get to this point with very little power in your boomerang, then you really do have no chance of completing this. So here's all the bonuses that the game will dish out. So that's my time bonus, the number of stars that I collected, enemies killed, recce bonus, which is how much of the level I explored. So as you can see, I got an award for both of those things. So if you really did want to try and speedrun it, you would no doubt get a medal for that as well. If that voice sounds familiar when you pick things up, that's because it's it's once again Lynette Reed who is providing the voice, who did all the voiceover work for Alien Breed as well. Oh dear. So before you start game, you can actually go to the options page and have a full console style thing where I'm going to select 5 lives instead of 3, put the difficulty to rookie, and then the boomerang mode I'm going to set to automatic, because as you can see when I was playing it before, I had to shoot the power-ups in order to select what the power-up was going to give me, whereas if you select automatic, the game will do that bit for you. I think personally I prefer having the game select what my power-up is going to be, because it allows me to concentrate on running around and getting on with the game. I suppose they could have tried to have a best of both worlds scenario, where every time you get a power-up in the main game when you're playing it with manual, if they'd randomised what letter actually appeared, then maybe you wouldn't have even had to have the automatic option. But the actual central character is really nicely animated, it must be said. Reacts believably with every bit of scenery that he touches. The enemies do always appear in exactly the same place, so it is possible to learn where they're going to appear from and react and start firing off your boomerang before you even get to see them. There we go. I'm going to kill it really quickly. One minute 49 left on my timer. I wonder how that does in terms of the medal. A lot of the magazines previewed this game around the same time as Super Frog, which I think came out about a month after this. And to be perfectly honest, I think I do prefer this game over that one. These green bits between the wires that I'm hanging from are actually deadly to touch, but the only way that you'll ever find that out is by actually falling into one of them. They probably could have got away with like having them fizz or something just to give away the fact that they're not good for your health. I think that's the way across the bottom of the level. You have to get on the roof. Some rockets on. No. See, you definitely have to shoot the helmet. Oh no. But it doesn't seem to register every single hit. Never gonna do it. Never gonna kill him. Yeah, that boss fight is a little bit too tricky, so that's where I'm going to end the playtest.
You'll never defeat my one.
So let's move on to the final summary and give it a score. I can still remember breathing a huge sigh of relief back in 1992 when Assassin turned out to be another standout title from Team 17. The graphics are excellent and the scrolling is super slick, putting many similar Amiga games to shame. Unfortunately, I find it quite hard to enjoy the game as much as I did whenever I go back to play it today, and it ends up being a game that I want to like more than I actually do. As good as the presentation is, there are just too many things about the game that I find annoying. For every great design decision, there's another not so great one dragging it back down. For instance, why have fantastic huge levels that encourage exploration and then have a ticking clock on screen that makes it feel like you don't have the time to savour them? I love the boomerang as a weapon, but the entire power-up system doesn't really work for me. For a title that's wanting to be a fast-paced arcade game, the fact that I kept having to stop and then shoot a power-up until the right letter appeared on it really did break up the flow of the action. Thankfully, it also seems like Psionic Systems knew this, as they have included an option to have the game automatically select them for you. The original game is much better than the special edition though. As far as I'm concerned, the reworked game is still good in places, but still significantly worse than the original. The changes that they made to it really don't work, and make it feel much more generic. By all means play it out of curiosity, but I think that the original is far superior. With so many great action platform games to choose from on the Amiga, Assassin can only manage to be in the recommended section. There's a full video going into more detail about this Super League elsewhere on the channel, and I'll make sure that I put a link to it in the video description. I certainly got some enjoyment out of Assassin, but there are too many times when the game is its own worst enemy. It's not an outright disaster though, and that's why I'll give it 6 out of 10 overall. Thank you for watching this episode of the re-review. If Assassin was a game that you played back in the 90s, I'd love to know what you thought about it and whether or not you agree with my opinion. How do you think the game compares to other releases from Team 17? Please let me know in the comments. If you've missed any of the previous episodes in this series, including other Team 17 titles like Alien Breed, Project X and Worms, please check out the playlist that's probably on screen about now. VIP members also get to watch these videos earlier than anybody else, so if that's something that appeals to you, why not check out the membership offer in the video description. It's only $1.99 a month, and I'd like to see you find a game for that price these days. If you have enjoyed this video, then please make sure you give us a like and subscribe, as that really helps to make sure that you don't miss any future videos that we produce. Next week, I'm going to be attending Timeless Gaming Convention in Liverpool, so expect some coverage from that, alongside our usual live streams and videos. So until next time, happy retro gaming everybody, bye for now.